I started 2023 by moving my sewing room from a small space in my house to a huge space in my house. It took a lot of time and effort to move all that fabric and all of my stuff and organize it, but I really like it and I've had a great time making things in my new space. Sewing for me started with upcycling. We changed tea towels into quilts. We made placemats from excess fabric, and I made some little butterflies, decorative butterflies from old silk ties and some old lace. It was an upcycling project, and our guild did this as a PowerPoint presentation. And I made an ironing station. That was a bit of carpentry and some upholstery to upholster the top. And that was a really good project. The ironing station is one of my favorite things in my sewing room. When I started doing some real quilting, I, of course, wanted to use my scraps. And so I made all kinds of scrappy quilts this year, using the fronts and the backs as scraps, and often also doing quilt as you go. I love big prints and big colorful quilts, and this was one of my favorites. That's the front, and here's the back. And most of the time I quilt just using a straight line stitch on my sewing machine, and that works for me. This was another quilt I made this year, a lot of pieces, but boy, it turned out really nicely, and I love that one. And I also used a variety of fabrics for the backing. I always try to use what I have around and make it work. Here's another quilt I made. It was very colorful, kind of weird. I did it as a quilt as you go. I did piece by piece and strip by strip and added fabrics again at the back, things that I had. Time for working with some of my squares. The cut square bins were getting overflowing. I tried to make use of fabrics that I had. And I think for the whole year, I only went out to the store and bought one piece of fabric, and it was for a big backing that I wanted for something, and I can't remember exactly what it was. But everything else this year, I've been using up my orphan blocks, using them on the fronts and the backs of quilts, using smaller pieces of fabric to join together to make pieced backs, using up all the orphan blocks. And it's always gratifying to finish projects, and I still start a project and finish a project. I really don't like having two or three things going on at one time. And I was always trying to use the things that I have. This bird panel has been sitting in my quilting stash for a while, so it was time to use it. I really like the quilt that I made using that bird panel. I cut it into pieces and added trees and added pieces of fabric behind as a background. It's been a fun year. I've had a lot of success with my quilting and a lot of time spending using the things that I have and making very creative, colorful quilts. And my sewing room is just a very happy place. Lots of color, lots of excitement, things that I can do, things that I can keep busy with. And I really have enjoyed making these videos as well and explaining my process to other people. You know, I start with a bunch of scraps, a pile of things that nobody wants, and turn out some really colorful, sometimes very quirky quilts. But I'm happy with the color, the variety, the fact that nobody else has a quilt that looks just like mine. I like to be a unique person, and I like to see what I can do with the things that I have. And people are very generous. They donate they're spare blocks, they're orphans, things they don't want, and they give them my way. And that's just the best thing ever because I really like working with things that somebody has made and spent time making, and I can make use of it and I can donate it to so many local charities. All of these orphans, it's a puzzle for me, and I really enjoy the process of putting things together and making something that I find very inspiring, but maybe other people don't think they're quite as pretty as some others do. But I like making them, and it is so gratifying to be able to donate so many quilts. So I hope that everything goes well for you in the new year. I am going to be away for a couple of weeks on a holiday, and then I'm going to be back at it doing more fun experimental quilting and putting things together. So happy new year, everyone, and please be safe out there and enjoy your quilting time. Bye for now.